Hello and good afternoon to everybody. I'm Caron Koteles Riha with Real Estate One, and welcome back to Caron's Corner Fireside Chat. And today our guest is Jean-Jacques with the Rochester Wine Shop. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Glad to have you here. I know it's been a little while since we had you here in the office. We had our grand opening of this building, and you and Kimberly from the Cheese Lady were here back then, and we did a great wine and cheese event for everybody here in the office, and I remember chatting with you here and having a great conversation. So you have had this Rochester Wine Shop for quite some time. How long has it been now?
About 6 years.
Okay.
And it's been a great adventure for sure.
Well, you're not from around here, are you?
No, I'm not. Been here for a while though.
Yeah.
And my story started in Paris, France, obviously. I've been here for 30 years. Been in love with wine in France. So I didn't start it with wine, but in Europe, your love for wine is kind of related to your life.
Yeah.
And I really try to follow a passion, which I was in France, and try to go to any classes I could, visit producers. And I started that business when I came here.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I met my wife,
Okay.
and she was doing an internship for GM. She's from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
For a few months we met, and she stayed with me for 7 years. So that was great and fun, and that's why I moved here
Okay.
to follow her, and she has a large family, so it's been fun since I've been here.
Yeah, well, we're glad you're here. So, so since you've been here, what have you done with your shop over the years? I know when I originally met you years back, but you were getting ready to do a build out on your space there, and that's all completed. You also have a Birmingham location, right? Did your daughter come into the business?
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Yeah.
Well, so these two shops are kind of the end of my story.
Yeah.
The start was, as I said, 30 years ago. I started in the wine industry here, worked for a couple of years for Merchante Vino, wine retail store, and then started my own wine wholesale company with a gentleman that also started the company. So for 10 years, I oversee this wine wholesale company and build the portfolio from scratch. So I had to find some producers and travel the world to find some of these producers. Then with this partner, we also bought winery in south of France. So that's one of the reasons my children, my family got acquainted with the culture, because we were going back and forth several times a year at the winery.
What a great opportunity.
Yes, and at the same time, my family also had a winery in Bordeaux.
Oh.
So I was also going there quite often. So this lasted about 15 years, and it was just an amazing experience. I have to say that the industry has been so good to me. People from restaurants, retail store are just perhaps feel like one so much that they are always smiling. But anyway, I had a great exchange with them. It's been very rewarding to work in this industry. And then the end or the start of the story, it's when my daughter turned 21. And she decided to buy a store, Birmingham Wine.
Oh, wow, that is quite an accomplishment at
Yes.
21.
And so in United States, we have what we call the 3-tier system.
Mm-hmm.
So as a wholesaler, you can't have a retail store at the same time.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So I left my wholesale company, worked with my daughter for a few weeks. I got fired into it. So I had to open a second location.
Oh, okay.
Rochester Wine, met the cheese ladies, and
Yeah.
they've been wonderful. It's an incredible partnership,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, for a Frenchman work in a cheese shop
Oh, yeah. Doesn't get any better than that. So.
and selling some wine.
Yeah.
So now we have 2 wine shops, and it's just outstanding.
And you offer classes, right? From what I understand, thousands of people have attended your classes over the years.
We do a lot of different things. Could it be free wine tasting at our store?
Mm-hmm.
But we also do lots of private events. We do events for corporations, financial advisors, for churches, for retirement facilities, wine dinners. So we love to do these, and it's just fun to meet the consumer,
Yeah.
to exchange with them. We have winemakers coming, and we do these as well. We also have a school called Michigan Wine School, and this is also fun. So once a month we have a theme, a country, or the next one will be Introduction to Wine.
Okay.
2 hours on a Sunday afternoon,
Oh,
and
perfect.
we test several wines. So that's a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah. And so how would someone sign up for a class like this?
All the information is online on Michigan Wine School or through
Okay.
our websites,
Sure.
Birmingham Wine or Rochester Wine Shop.
Okay. And so when they attend a class, where are they typically going for your Sunday class for 2 hours?
It's in the restaurants in downtown Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
We can enjoy the glass of wine and some bread, and it's fun because it's relaxed, but you learn a lot,
Yeah.
and there is a great exchange, lots of questions, and we just take our time
Yeah.
to go through the subject.
Do you talk at all about pairing?
We talk about pairing quite often, obviously very often at the Cheese Lady,
Yeah.
because we just love it, and we take a lot of time going through these pairings. But perhaps that's one of the difference between Europe and what we call the New World. Everything is changing very fast, but what I'm trying to say here is that in Europe you always think about a bottle of wine too much with food. So what are you having for dinner? What are you having for your lunch? And then you try to find the best possible wine to go with the dish.
Yeah. So I don't think of it always that way anymore. I probably used to, but now it's, it's after dinner and I'm saying, okay, I want to sit down and read and have a glass of wine, and what kind of wine should I have? So what can you suggest to somebody who's maybe new to wine? I am not new to wine, but a lot of our viewers are. And if they walked into the wine shop and they didn't know where to begin, I know they could just ask you questions, and I know I did that with you way back. But what would you recommend for somebody who's wanting to learn more about wines? How do they get started? Do they attend one of your Sunday classes?
Thank you, Caron, for the question. I think perhaps we have a lot of similarity on what we do.
Yeah.
And when somebody comes to the shop, it's an exchange,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to level up to where the client is. Could it be, as you said, new, but somebody who is new is not new on what they like in terms of
Right.
food and wine.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to focus on, asking a few questions
Mhm.
on which kind of food you like, or what wines were you exposed before, and suddenly there is a conversation which helps me point out a given wine. The couple questions that are very helpful: do you like dry? Do you like sweet? Do you like white? Do you like red? It's kind of easy for me to point out a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
I would definitely suggest perhaps fortified wine or port wine, a little bit high in alcohol, but after the meal, just before going to bed, while you're reading, is lots of inspiration in this glass of wine.
Oh, okay.
My uncle was focused on wine, which is like a sauterne. So it's a sweet wine, but very complex.
Mm-hmm.
And on these wines, you need to take time to acquaint yourself with the glass of wine. There's so many aromas, and the more you take your time, the more you're going to discover lots of different flavors.
Very nice. Very nice. You have the weekly wine pick. Tell us about that.
I'd like to communicate with our guests, and we try to send out a weekly email. And we have about 3,000 people that we reach on a weekly basis. And the weekly wine is one of the subjects that we cover. So when we test wine with the cheese lady, when we meet a winemaker, when we have a new vintage, we just fall in love with a wine, and we share the information with our guests.
And I am a recipient of your your email on a weekly basis, and I love it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun because it generates questions or suggestions, and we talked about the school, we talked about the upcoming trip that we do. We talk lots about different things. All the readers can discover what they're interested in.
Nice.
And it makes me think about with the school, we also do a yearly wine trip.
Oh, now that could be a lot of fun. And where have you gone recently?
Because of what I've been doing, I've been traveling in a lot of wine countries in the world, and I've been doing this basically naturally now, and I've been asked to go with clients. So 3 years ago we started to do it, and last year we went to south of France, and next month, last week of April, we'll be in the Rhone Valley, which is north of the Mediterranean region. So we just rented a beautiful chateau, and 14 of us will spend 1 week doing what French people do every week, enjoying wine and food, visiting producers.
It doesn't sound like it gets any better than that, actually.
And I have to confess, it will be a little bit warmer in south of France at the end of April than it will be here.
Oh, I'm sure.
This is one of the wineries we're going to visit in the end of April. So it's a Rhone wine, very small estates.
Okay.
I love when these estates are small, family owned. And you own this bottle.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much.
And for Madame Evelyn, I have a beautiful wine from Italy that this is actually a winery we'll visit next year. We just use this one for wine, and she's Zoom presentation with a cheese lady.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
Wow, you come bearing gifts. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the viewers?
Yes, my love for Rochester.
Oh, I love Rochester too.
Michigan is just beautiful state. I love Paris. I love big towns. And for me, it's important to be close to a downtown.
Yeah.
And I know there is not a lot of big downtowns like Paris in Michigan, but it's necessary for me, for my soul, to have access to a downtown. And I love downtown Rochester. I also love nature, and I enjoy biking from home to work.
Oh, that is perfect.
So
yeah.
that's warm enough. Or walking.
Yeah.
But all these parks, these trails here are just amazing.
We're very lucky. Yeah, I feel like we're very fortunate. We have a great trail system. The parks, the downtown area, the people. I feel like it's very homey here, and we're really very fortunate. And that's really great that you're able to ride your bike to work. I think if somebody called and had to see a home, if I had to go on my bike and it was close enough, that would be fun. One of these days I'm going to do that. Not right now with the salt on the ground and the cold weather, but it's spring is around the corner, and I'm convinced that we just had our last snowfall of the year. So
I agree with you.
pretty soon the scene will be beaches and not fire. So
thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Caron.
thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. Thanks for watching. And I am Caron Koteles Riha. Don't make a move without me.